international reputation as a manager, a mentor, an instructor, you name it. This man does it and does it so well. Obviously, he is extremely disliked by a lot of people, but one has to recognize his genius when it comes to getting the very most out of an athlete. You can see this in coaches. You can see it throughout any athlete's career. Many times it takes that other person to draw the very best out of him, or the very worst, whichever way you happen to want to look at it. Well, this gentleman to my right, Mr. Gary Hart, has that capability. And, of course, as we saw last week, the great Kabuki in action. I've had a lot of questions, Mr. Hart. First of all, welcome to Georgia and Georgia.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back into Atlanta, Georgia.
I've had a lot of questions regarding the fact that Kabuki, of course, always wears the face paint. Would you care to relate to the people the reason for that?
Well, the basic reason that Kabuki has taken the name as Kabuki is because in Singapore he had a match with a man by the name of Tiger Jeet Singh, where the object of the match was that there was a bed of hot coals. I know that sounds ridiculous, and you would never see anything like that in America, but I'm talking about Asia and India, where life is a little harder. And the object of the match was to put the man's back across the hot coals for the 1, 2, 3, so he would carry the mark for life. Kabuki won the match, but the Hindu had some brothers with him, and they put Kabuki's face into the hot coals, and it burnt Kabuki's face around the eye area. That is why Kabuki's face is painted. One other important thing that I want everyone to remember: Kabuki, every time you see him, he is different. You know what Kabuki is. A lot of you people don't understand Kabuki, but in a few minutes, you are going to see the most, I would say, the greatest attraction in wrestling today. Nobody like him. We're not here for belts. We're not here for titles. We're here for money. And that's all I'd like to say right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hart.
Very nice seeing you again.
All right, sir. Gary Hart, a man of unusual intelligence, an international traveler, and now bringing Kabuki into the ring. And this is our first experience in seeing this man here live on Georgia Championship Wrestling, being assisted into the ring now. And we'll turn it over to our ring announcer.
Thank you, Gordon. Ladies and gentlemen, this special attraction match, one fall with a 10-minute time limit. From Samoa, at 230 pounds, making his first appearance, Tony Tosi. Tony Tosi. His opponent, managed by Playboy Gary Hart. From Singapore, at 245 pounds, here is Kabuki. Kabuki.
Okay, and of course you heard the title that Gary Hart has held over these years, Playboy Gary Hart. Of course, he originally from Chicago, has extremely wealthy parents, and now Kabuki. Wearing a mask to begin with, and his head wrapped in a unusual individual, expelling some sort of a green fog, if you will. And note the hands of Kabuki. They, too, the green paint and, of course, the face. And Kabuki suddenly explodes on Tosi. And this Samoan making his first appearance, a brawl lad, no doubt about that. But Kabuki just closes in on the man. Kabuki catches him again. And so Kabuki, living up to everything that we've heard about him thus far, just continually moves against the man. And as the Samoan caught him, it was Kabuki catching him once again in the throat. Kabuki chopping to the back of the head. And Kabuki obviously just completely befuddles his opponent because of his unusual actions in the ring. Another chop to the back of the skull. And again, you can hear perhaps comments from Playboy Gary Hart. Variation of a hip roll there, and Kabuki again. Those green painted hands and the painted face obviously have to create additional problems for an opponent going in there. on a one-on-one competition, the psychological warfare becomes increasingly important as well. And Kabuki, I think anybody would admit, is a rather frightening sight. The green mouth, the green teeth. An awesome individual. And notice the dexterity with which he handles his feet and legs. And Tossi has been driven down to the canvas. Tossi, I am sure, of course, coming from Samoa, is very, very familiar with various forms of rituals, but perhaps never having faced anybody with quite the ritualistic experience of this man, Kabuki. There you see Gary Hart, the deliberately shaven, bald pate of Gary Hart entering the lower part of the picture from time to time. Again, he moves in, issues nothing but comments. And now Tossi firing back at Kabuki, and wait a second here. We may have a complete change of a situation as Kabuki up against those ropes, evidencing some fatigue here. Tossi tried to move him away, could not, and Kabuki catches him again. And the green paint from Kabuki beginning to spread itself over the body of Tossi. Tossi battling gamely now, brings him off the ropes, but Kabuki again using the flat of the foot. And again, you can hear the voice of Playboy Gary Hart issuing apparently instructions. I don't understand the language at all or what he's saying, but I heard him say Savat. So Savat, obviously, he would be talking about then. That's it, the Savat type kick with the foot. And so, an interesting situation with the great Kabuki. And he has obviously had much of his... and wait a second, a problem here now with the referee. And the referee indicating Kabuki is the winner, but apparently Hart warning the referee not to put his hands on Kabuki. And a strange individual, a very, very strange individual indeed. And one almost wonders if more than just the face itself was injured by those hot coals. But nonetheless, the winner in most impressive fashion, the great Kabuki.